Hi, my name is Dana Arnett, co-host of Wicked Marketing, along with my partner, Carlos Cepene. You can find more information about us and our business on LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, email us at info@wickedbionic.com. Subscribe to Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Dana.
And I'm Carlos. And today we're very excited to welcome a good friend and a great person that we've known for a while, Mr. Mark Morales. He's the Vice President of SBA Lending at City National Bank. He's the co-owner of Charles Jacobsen, which is an antique importer. And he's now officially also the chair of diversity of the Insurance Diversity Task Force for the state of California. Jesus. So many things, Mark.
How did you have the time to talk with us, Mark? I'm sorry. Clearly, Carlos can't even say it, and you got so much going on.
Yeah. It is a mouthful.
Welcome, Mark.
Welcome, Mark. So I think that there's so many great things to talk about with you, but first of all, how do you juggle all these different initiatives as a business owner, as working also full-time for a bank, and now also being on all these task forces and different committees and things?
Well, it is a lot, but maybe if I give you just a brief background on how I got into all of this, it will help explain how I'm able to make such impact in my career.
Great.
I started my banking career 20 years ago, and I focused on small business lending and deposits for multiple banks. And 8 years ago, I purchased one of my clients with my partner. That's the company Charles Jacobsen, Inc. It's an Asian antique importer. And my partner worked there, and the owner retired, and we purchased the business in 2013. At that point, we joined the LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce and got the business certified as an LGBT business enterprise. And what most people don't know is that is when I started working with the Chamber of Commerce, volunteering time, and creating a space for myself in the supplier diversity world. And for the last 8 years, what I've been doing is taking what I've known as far as business lending and working with small businesses and bringing it into rooms of power to explain how the impact to small business, the different policies and procedures that happen, in different spaces. So in 2015 is when I joined the Department of Insurance Diversity Task Force, becoming the first LGBT representative to that task force. And as was announced today, I have become the chair of that task force. And what that does, the Insurance Diversity Task Force, what we're doing here is increasing the opportunities for minority-owned businesses to do business with insurance companies nationwide. And it's very exciting. It all fits within the supplier diversity world, and that's how I'm able to do all of these things at the same time, because it all ties to small business, diverse small business, and supplier diversity, and increasing opportunities and financing for small businesses.
Wow. I think that we're probably one of the benefactors of that, as well as an LGBTQ certified business. But I'm going to jump in real quick and ask you a question about why do you believe that having purchased a business, which I love the way that happened for you and the initiative that you and your partner took, having purchased a business, I would think that must really help you just be so informed, but also to be able to share your personal experience when you're talking about supplier diversity to larger organizations. Is that true?
It is. It's helped in my banking career because it made me a better banker. And the way that it really helped me is when working with finance and you're speaking with underwriters that are looking at, the requests for small businesses, the underwriters they're numbers people, and they don't understand how small businesses work and operate. And being a small business owner myself, I've been able to explain exactly why the numbers look why they do, and what small businesses are doing, and what foots over to the numbers that they're seeing. Explaining, why a company, manipulates their inventory or does purchasing in advance and taking advantage of discounts, is not a natural thing for an underwriter to understand, but a small business owner does. And so what I've been able to do is bridge that gap between my business owner and be a champion with that underwriter to help them get credit that they may not have gotten without that champion.
So valuable.
That's great. I think, Mark, one of the things that, at least for me, as part of what we do in this podcast is really help people understand how to market, right? And one of where I see you within the marketing spectrum being an expert, and it's not something that we often get to really discuss in this podcast, is you are an expert networker. I feel like you're so good at talking to people, at being approachable, at participating in things, at being part. I know we serve together on the policy committee for the Chamber of Commerce. I feel like everywhere that I am with you, whether it is at an event where we run into each other, or even when we are discussing policy or anything like that, you are so great about being able to use your knowledge and your background to participate and to be a part. That I think that's, something that's very unusual of people that have that ease. Do you feel like your experience having owned a business and sort of working on that, mixed with how much you have to interact with people in banking and all of the experience that you have in your background, helps you through being able to network? Like, what are some things that you feel you're strong at with that particular piece?
Well, Carlos, having the gift of gab is also one of those things that, it makes it a little bit easier. I consider my tagline being that I am everywhere, but I'm also always talking. But yes, being a business owner and financing small businesses for 20 years, brings me a different perspective. What a lot of people don't know is that I'm the first LGBT representative to the state of California Department of Insurance, to Southern California Edison, to the LA Business Council. They've never had a representative for our community prior to me getting in that room. And then once I got in the room, I realized that my level of experience and my breadth of experience, because most people in those rooms have a very vertical knowledge base.
Yes.
And they can speak to one thing and one thing only. Whereas because, I finance small business, I've been, I've run a Chamber of Commerce for 6 years. I've been, in these rooms. I purchased a business. And when I purchased the business, even though I am the minority shareholder, I revamped the website. I created a social media program. I started, engaging the community. I, got our business certified. So all of those things that people don't know how to do, and especially from the point of view of, let's say, an insurance company, and how difficult it is for a small business to do business with an insurance company, that those challenges they don't know. And so what I was able to bring into those rooms was, this is the challenge a small business has in doing business with your company. You've got a portal that is very difficult to maneuver. You require insurance, or bonding that a small business owner, really, is outside of their capacity. So how do you engage small businesses and diverse small businesses and make that barrier of entry, lower, so that small businesses can bid on that business? And what I really like, and what I've been able to do, and the Department of Insurance is probably the most best example. So in 2013, when they started actually tracking how much insurance companies spent with small businesses in California, LGBT spend was around $150,000. In 2015, I was the first LGBT representative to the task force. Even though there was a spot for an LGBT representative back in 2013, no one had ever filled it. They never found anybody to fill the spot.
Mm.
So when I joined in 2015, that spend with LGBT businesses was around $5 million and had been flat for a couple of years. Still remarkable considering it was only $150,000 in 2013.
Right.
But what I did was not only was I, included in the group, but I was representing the community, and I was actually taking that word out to our small business owners throughout the state of California, through the Chambers of Commerce, through the SBA, to engage small businesses to work with insurance companies and attend the summits. So last year, which is the most recent survey, the numbers have for LGBT business spend has gone up to $10.2 million and signed contracts of $49 million. So what I'm trying to say here is it's not only important to include a community, you must have a representative to that community that can engage those people so that you can get results.
At that level.
Looking at at that level. Exactly. Right. And, I think it's a great success story. And we have similar success stories for women, minority, and disabled vet. But I'm just giving you one because we only have 20 minutes to talk.
Let me ask you, Mark, how many of people like you are out there? And as Carlos and I have had so many of the experiences that you're talking about, and we see the benefits of change, certainly the city contracts and now in the utility contracts, we see the benefits of the changes that people like you have made. Are there many advocates that have, I'm not saying, and no, you're the only one, but are there many advocates like you that have the knowledge that you have in other women-owned businesses or in other market sectors that can be advocates as well? What do you see out there?
There are many advocates. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the only one. I think that, my uniqueness is the fact that I sit in so many different worlds. Right. So most people that are advocates are either business owners or in the community, representing the community. But it's very rare to find somebody that is, a lender, a community person, a business owner, and an advocate all in one. So most people have one or two. And, my expertise is the fact that, I have four.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And do you see, I really like this whole idea of, being of service. As I'm also of service. Do you see that when you are putting in all of this time and effort at helping people, I think one of the things that people don't understand is that by you providing value to the system, it is not only benefiting other people that are part of it, but it is an opportunity for you to also bring in those services into the broader audience, right? So it is a form of marketing per se, right? Because you get the opportunity to meet people, you get the opportunity to understand the needs of the marketplace and bring solutions to the marketplace through word of mouth, right? Which is the most effective possible way of marketing into any business.
And I think that's a great, segue into the marketing. So, many people in the banking world, especially in my position, do a lot of, telemarketing. They reach out either by phone, by mail, by email, to reach out and try and get clients. Mm-hmm. I took a different path and became a subject matter expert. So I don't do a lot of phone calls outgoing, right? What I do is I do a lot of public speaking. So any opportunity that I have to speak in regards to the SBA, supplier diversity, being a business owner, finance, I lend myself to that, because what happens is instead of making 100 phone calls to find 5 prospects to get 1 client, if I speak in front of 100 people, the people that are going to call me are people who actually have a need for the product that I have.
You go one to many, right? You go one to many. Yes.
One to many. Yeah. And not everybody can do that, but I find it has been very successful in my banking career. Most people don't realize that I don't telemarket. I have never telemarketed when I was in my banking career, because I get all of my business by referral.
And Mark, if I'm not mistaken, I've been in a couple of rooms with you where you've been one of the speakers, and this is now probably 3 or 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago. And one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, when you are up there speaking, you also do mention that you have a business. I don't know if you necessarily say Charles Jacobsen, but you do mention something about having an import business. Am I correct?
I do, yes.
Right, which is what a fantastic way to grow your own business by seeding it within something else that you do.
Yeah.
It is. Primarily when I'm speaking in supplier diversity and helping people learn how to navigate that world, I will use my business as an example of what to do and what not to do. And I'll give you just a quick example. So I was working with the utility companies, and Edison was putting on one of their supplier diversity events. And I was one of the speakers, and I basically said, my company imports Asian antiques. Asian antiques is not something that Southern California Edison buys. So if I'm wasting the time of one of their representatives and one of their buyers trying to sell my product or service, I'm wasting all of our time. What I've done here is show that you need to make sure that your product fits the company that you're meeting with. But I'm also letting everyone know, hey, I sell Asian antiques.
Darn right you are. Darn right you are, Mark Morales.
That's why I feel like you're such a magician in this.
Yes.
And I think that the value that people can get out of this podcast is that there is value in you leveraging your expertise to become a subject matter expert to people and using that, right, in a positive way, right, in a much more positive way than telemarketing, which I think people hate being telemarketed to, because by being a subject matter expert, you're leading with trust, right? You're leading with something that people trust, and it gives them a sense of ease when they're talking to you. Like I feel a sense of ease when I hear you talking in public, or I hear you bringing in some information in one of the committees or something like that. It's that sense that I trust in what you're saying. And therefore that opens the door to many messages being delivered in a way that is a very positive way. I think that's, important.
And one thing, being a subject matter expert, the thing that you will never hear me do is sell anything, right? You never, and both of you have heard me speak. Have you ever heard me try to sell a loan at City National Bank or a specific item at the company I own? And that is really the key. Is not to be selling something, not to be selling a product or service, especially if you're speaking and you're there as a subject matter expert. What you want to do is make sure they understand what it is that you're speaking about, but you should never be selling.
Right, exactly. Because you know what, in this day and age, especially of any time, I think in our lives, people know, or they're waiting for that little line where they're being sold, right? So the best thing you can do is not be that person. And then, of course, we know then that is what makes you appealing to other people. It makes people want to ask more questions. I know that was the first time I saw you, that there were so many more questions than after you finished speaking that I wanted to engage with you about. So what a great way to bring people to you. Totally understand that.
Great.
And that's the key. I mean, really, that has been the key. I learned that a long time ago. I used to be a payroll rep for Paychecks, and a part of the payroll rep's job was to do continuing education for CPAs. And so when you're doing continuing education, you can't sell anything. All you can do is talk about whatever it is the session is for them to get their continuing education credit. So I learned long ago how to sell by not selling.
Exactly. And what have you seen with your partner? What have you seen within, your business? I think it's also pertinent to talk about how things have changed, with the pandemic. So what have you seen within your business, being a business owner, the changes that you've seen in the past year?
So it's very challenging for brick and mortars. We are a brick and mortar. So we have a showroom in Culver City. And in March, we closed for about 3 months. And so the biggest challenge to a brick and mortar business and to many businesses was your revenue dropped to practically zero, but your expenses stayed the same.
No kidding.
Our landlord, was still expecting our rent on the first of every month. When the government programs came out, EIDL and PPP, the landlords were well versed in those programs and were asking tenants, are you going to use that money to pay my rent? Right. Mm-hmm. And that really is one of the challenges, and one of the benefits to the government programs that came out was to help some of these brick and mortars manage that. Though, if I was designing the program, I certainly wouldn't have used 2.5 times a monthly payroll as the figure that people would have gotten. I would have looked at 2.5 times maybe monthly expenses. Great. So not only payroll, but rent and utilities, because for a business, and especially a brick and mortar that is closed, you still have to pay your light bill and your water bill and your phone bill and your rent and all of the other things with no income. And many businesses, and the ones that failed and the ones that, really, really struggled, were the ones that didn't have that cushion, that they did not have that access to capital. They did not have a savings account, to take them through this period of time. Nobody knew that this was going to go on for as long as it did. And, one of the things that, and one of the challenges we have is that even though most businesses have business interruption insurance, this pandemic was not covered. And most of us did not know that until we tried to claim.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you back up and running now?
Oh, yeah. We opened up in July, back up, and luckily, we have a large space, so there's never that many people in there, and we can actually close it down for private appointments. So that made it easier for us to reopen. And we are open today to private appointment, and we're starting to see interior designers do more purchasing. So that has been a good thing. But I will tell you that the government programs, the PPP program and the second round of PPP, which has just been rolled out, are crucial to those of us that have not, come back to full revenue.
Exactly. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Well, so I've been making a list of what we've learned today from Mark Morales, and I'm just going to keep it top line for our listeners. Make sure to be the subject matter expert. So that's a tactic in order for you to be able to market your business. Build trust with people before you try and sell them on anything. Bring value. Because value is what makes you appealing, right? So by providing value, you will also build trust, and never sell anything. Sell by not selling, right? So those are some great tactics that Mark has shared with us today that I feel are something we haven't heard about in this podcast that people can really use to take advantage of these opportunities.
And that there are so many resources out there. I think Mark just became an island of resources, all unto himself. Mark, It's awesome. But there are many, and the SBA being one of them, but there are many resources to grow your business. And that's what we talk about so much on the Wicked Marketing podcast, is how to grow your business, how to pay attention to your business. And I think, Mark, you've really lent us some wonderful new tactics for our listeners.
I'm happy to do it. And if you look at the one website that I will mention, which is SBA.gov,
yes.
That will give you all of the resources for not only the EIDL program, which is the disaster loans, but first and second round PPP. And also, there's a lot of information that your tax dollars already pay for, the services that can be found through SBA.gov.
That's the perfect thing to share with us. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe to and share Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We are also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. See you next time.